Yeah. Solid stock, HK.
How's it going, guys? Kyle here with 4 Mile Ranch, and today I am absolutely excited to be talking to you about the Warhammer Armaments MP5. Specifically, this is their MP5K variant. Obviously, it has been kind of customized to my liking. I'll briefly cover that in this video, but just want to talk about all things MP5 and super safety and all that good stuff, because they seem like they are absolutely all the rage these days. So we're going to get into that. Before I do though, I want to let you know that Warhammer Armaments is obviously a channel sponsor. They do a lot for the channel. Not only do they a lot for the channel directly, but they actually give back to you guys as supporters of the 4 Mile Ranch YouTube channel. They sponsor a lot of the monthly giveaway items. So this month of September, the first of the month, in the monthly drawing, they actually donated a Holocene Iris, brand new in the box, for one of you guys. So they do a lot. Just know there is a relationship there when I'm talking about their products. I like to be transparent about those kind of things. But while I am mentioning the channel's supporters and sponsors, Optics Planet is also a huge supporter of the channel right now, and you can save some money with discount code 4MRR. You will save up to 12%, which is what I scored when I added this Midwest Industries MP5K handguard to my cart. That doesn't give me any kind of kickback. It simply just saves you guys money. So get in there and save you some of that hard-earned cash. So in a nutshell, when you see all these videos of people just mag dumping into trash at the range and having a good time doing it, you need to understand there are 3 things to make that happen when we're talking about the MP5 platform. Obviously, you need the gun itself. That should be a no-brainer there. This happens to be an MKE variant. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail. Now, the second component you're going to need is going to be a lower that can accept the AR pattern fire control group. So in particular, Warhammer Armaments sends all their MP5 builds with the Lee Sporting lowers. And I'll get into more detail there. We're just talking top level. And third, you're going to need a MP5 slip trip lever, which effectively acts as the back of like an M16 full auto bolt carrier group that'll re-engage that super safety lever and force that reset of the trigger forward for you. So those are the 3 major components that you need to do all the things that you're seeing being very trendy nowadays when it comes to these kind of kits and guns. So just giving you some basic level understanding. Now, getting into the weeds a little bit further here, because if you're like me and you see these videos, they're exciting, they look cool because they are cool, it is fun, but you need to know a few things. So first and foremost, if you go through someone reputable like Warhammer Armaments that knows what they're doing, you can get a fully assembled gun and it should run for you. They do test fire them before sending them out to you. Now, if you are a DIYer like many of you guys are, then you just need to understand, and I want to manage your expectations, because a lot of the guys posting these videos don't really talk about how what was done behind the scenes. Someone had to do some level of fitting or tuning to get things to run reliably, most likely, unless they happen to just get lucky, which you absolutely can. However, you can also expect a little bit of work to be put in. Now, the main reason for that is because MP5s are built a little bit more crudely than an AR patterned rifle, because they are literally sheet metal. They get stamped into shape and then it gets welded together. So there's a lot that can cause different levels of tolerance stacking when we're talking about this platform as a whole. Therefore, because of those inherent tolerance differences, everything's not going to be quite as plug and play as you may be used to when you're playing with AR patterned guns. So if you're not a competent gunsmith or you don't have a good understanding of the MP5 platform, I would encourage you to either buy a pre-assembled gun for best results. And if you don't want to go that route, you still want to tinker a little bit, well, I still recommend at the very least, if you piece things together, to send your setup to a qualified armorer. Warhammer Armaments has a list that they would recommend. There are some really knowledgeable people in their network that will absolutely get things running as smooth as you see all the the influencers running theirs. So just putting that out there for you. If you don't properly tune and fit things together and try to force things, effectively what's going to happen, besides the obvious of it jamming or not being reliable and you not having that good time mag dumping into trash with your friends, burning through cases of ammo, you are going to probably have some premature or accelerated wear of parts. There's different things with the MP5s that can go wrong. I'm not trying to make this an MP5 educational video, but just know in a broader sense, you're gonna have some issues there. Obviously, you can also break parts. So I've seen some people talking about how they've actually entirely broken the actual super safety lever, and then they slip trip assemblies also seem to be pretty subject to breakages. Now, the number one reason that may happen is something as simple as there's a denial block in the back of the MP5 receiver, which is essentially required to import these to not be considered as machine guns per the ATF. Whether or not you agree with that logic, that is how it is. So if you have any kind of rubbing, any kind of contact with that slip trip, well, it's gonna break that, if not instantly, very, very prematurely after a few mags, perhaps. So just know that there's some work to be done, and I'm gonna get off that soapbox, but I don't see a lot of the other guys that show how cool, the cool side of this. They don't really talk about some of the behind the scenes that it does potentially take more work to get these running. Now, the good news for you, let's say you have something like a Zenith, or you have some other MP5 clone, Warhammer Armaments will do what they can to help get things running for you. And they do have, again, that network of armorers that you can rely on to get things running. I actually happened to talk to a customer that had a Zenith that he ordered two lower super safety kits from Warhammer Armaments. So did his brother. His brother's worked right out of the box like sewing machine. His didn't. Same kits, different guns. Again, tolerance stacking issues. Sent it off to one of Warhammer's recommended armorers, got it running in no time, and now they're both equally happy. So again, your mileage may vary, and I really just want to manage those expectations because I don't see a lot of people actually addressing that or talking about it. But just contact Warhammer Armaments if you run into trouble, and you will be covered. Now let's circle back to the magic, the fairy dust that makes this run the way it does. So we'll start with the lower. Like I'd mentioned, I have a Lee Sporting lower. I personally like Lee Sporting as a company. If you weren't aware, they are the ones that really pioneered the whole MP5 lower for the AR-15 fire control group. I do want to address that there are some rumors going out there again, sometimes from their competitors even, saying that the Lee Sporting lowers are not compatible with super safeties. Couldn't be further from the truth, as demonstrated by thousands of MP5s out there, including this one. Where that stems from, there was a video that was posted demonstrating how it didn't work with super safeties. That was the Lee Sporting, their Generation 1, their LS1. That's a lower from 2022. Fast forward to 2025. They're on the LS5, like what you see here. 5th generation that absolutely incorporates and takes into account what is needed for super safety. The difference of that LS1 is that the trigger pin placement varied by 95 thousandths of an inch compared to where you see with the LS5 for various reasons back then. But now they understand that there's a lot more people getting into this. The tolerances are different, so they are trying as best they can to accommodate for all those variants. So Lee Sporting lower allows you to use the AR fire control group, which then allows you to use the super safety. Now, one other thing that is relevant to what makes the magic go to work here is the rounded hammers that Warhammer Armaments are using. So they kind of implemented this pretty clever, straightforward idea of actually rounding out the profile of the MP5 hammer. Now, why does that matter? Why is that important? Previously, if you tried to run one of these with the super safety, what would happen is that you'd have to use a rubber buffer inside the receiver. Reason for that is that when you were trying to use that super safe mode, that bolt would get behind the hammer and would get stuck. So that buffer would prevent that bolt from going all the way behind the hammer. It would allow it to go just enough to extract the next round and cycle, but wouldn't fully articulate. You don't get the entire benefit of that roller delayed system that the MP5 is so beloved for. So you kind of downgrade your MP5 in a sense. You ruin that recoil impulse. So Warhammer Armaments will send a rounded hammer that allows that bolt to go behind it without getting stuck. So you get the complete benefit of the MP5 operating system without the need for that buffer kind of making your gun a little bit more junk than the perfected MP5 system that it should be. Now let's talk about the actual MP5 itself. So this is an MKE. So if you aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, this is a Turkish built, technically it is an MP5 clone, but it is about as close as you can get to the real H&K counterpart without paying the H&K tax. And the reason for that, it is actually built on H&K tooling under H&K licensing, which is pretty cool. I've even heard rumors that potentially H&K would honor the warranty because of the licensing. Haven't verified that for myself, but that is a rumor I heard. So grill me in the comments if I'm wrong, or chime in if you've actually heard that to be true or found out firsthand, because I am curious. That being said, the big thing is that these come with cold hammer forged barrels. That means you should expect about a 50,000 round barrel life. Obviously, if you're doing crazy mag dumps, you're going to accelerate the wear of that barrel as you get it really hot and you abuse it that way, compared to if you were just doing regular firing cycles. And besides the fact that it's easier to accommodate more customers from a price perspective, going with the MKEs versus H&Ks, Warhammer Armaments has made the claim that they have more of a success rate out of the gate, getting it to run nicely with super safeties than some of the other clone variants. To include, they said that the H&Ks actually gave them a little bit more trouble than the MKEs. Of course, it's easy for them to say because they're selling that, but I did hear that from a second armorer that works on these, that they actually have a pretty good success rate right out of the gate with the MKE clones. So take that for what it's worth. So with that little history lesson and a little bit of backstory, let's just talk about my particular build and why I have built it the way I have. So this is the Warhammer Armaments MP5K with a little special something. We'll get into it on this one, guys. This is probably my favorite toy in the collection right now. I wanted to keep some of the appeal of the classic MP5K, although this is starting to not look so much like that, but we have the classic MP5K folding stock in the back. I think it's a very recognizable and notable silhouette that this thing gives off. So I do like it. It's solid enough, gets compact enough, simple enough. Length of pull works for me for the way I'm running this gun. On the least sporting lower, I actually put an ergo grip because it kind of has that MP5 grip profile that you're used to seeing. So it makes the lead blend in that much more, in my opinion. You can run whatever on the least sporting lowers. You can put any AR patterned grip module that you want on there. So you can, sky's the limit. There's so many options you can go with. Since it does accept AR fire control groups, we are currently running a Geisley trigger in here. So I get that super, super crisp trigger pull. And it has been machined out to work with the super safety. So I get to enjoy the best of both worlds. I can have a nice, perfect, beautiful, that G Money trigger, but I also can mag dump into trash with my buddies like the internet tells me I should be doing. We have a optics rail. This is just the Sentry optics rail, so it's pretty straightforward there. These are kind of a pain to put on if you haven't put them on for the first time, but once they're on, they are pretty solid. Rocking an EOTech up top. I'm debating going to something more compact like an Acro, maybe a Holosun Ames, but I am a sucker for EOTechs. This one has a beautiful Cerakote job done by Praetorian Armory and Coatings. It is a black multicam that just kind of fits this MP5 vibe. Now, working our way forward, I get this question in the comments a few times on the other videos where this gun has already appeared. This is the Midwest Industries MP5K, their M-LOK handguard. I want to say maybe it's the M-LOK SD because the inner diameter is big enough to let you have a suppressor under that handguard. So the downside is it's going to be a little bit bigger, but that's so that you can have a suppressor in there and not have contact with your M-LOK hardware. So all this M-LOK hardware, the foregrip, hand stop, and this Arson machine cable management attachment there, none of it is in contact with the can. And this is a rugged Obsidian 45. Ironically, I don't actually have a 9mm can. I've just been running the Obsidian 45 and I've had pretty good success with that and been pretty happy with that so far. Eventually, maybe I'll get like an Omega 9K. Let me know what 9mm can should I try. But the reason I wanted this handguard is because originally I just had your standard Sentry furniture, but then we upgraded to this MP5K handguard that has the built-in M-LOK slots, which was cool for mounting lights. The downside is it's essentially friction fit in the back, and it's just got that single standard MP5 pin in the front. So there's a little bit of play there. So I wouldn't really want to trust it for mounting lasers because I wouldn't really trust that zero to always be super precise. This Midwest Industries handguard has 3 pretty large screws in the back and another 2 in the midsection. So there is virtually no play on this thing. It is absolutely locked in place. So very, very solid. So much so that now I can trust it for running different lasers. So we have the M6TRV. This is a 4-in-1 device. The reason I like that is because it keeps things compact. This is a sub gun. So it does have a light and a laser, which is cool. That means I don't have to have any additional profile hanging off the side of the handguard. Now, if I were to mount a light, I would opt for the right side so that when this thing is folded, the width doesn't really go any further because the stock's already there anyways. So just some food for thought in terms of my logic on how I would rig this if it wasn't for this M6 TRV. I'm looking forward to the Holosun Iris-4. I'm gonna obviously do a review and comparison of that unit against this unit. Anyways, this is my MP5K as I'm currently configuring it and running it. Let me know what you think. I guess you guys may ask, this is a vertical foregrip that does have a nice slot for a mod button. The aesthetic of it and the appearance look like it's a lot more practical than it really is. I don't remember what the name of it even is, but I actually don't recommend this and I'll probably end up changing it. Reason being is that to use your pointer finger on that, your index finger, not really a great grip. And if you want to C-clamp, then it's gonna be your pinky or ring finger. And I would like to believe in a high stress environment, that's not gonna be super easy to actuate. So looks cool. It is a backup to the fire button on top, but I don't think it's super practical and I may honestly end up removing that. So now that covers the MP5K. So hopefully that answers any of the questions you may have, but if not, leave them in the comments below. Be happy to help as always. And I'd also like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And as always, have a good one.
All right, I got me and Bruce back there. We're here just checking out Warhammer Armaments MP5K with a little something special. And I feel like a little girl for getting pushed back on that, but hey, that's pretty cool.